A place at the table is the first art intervention at St. Peter's, and we decided that we wanted to create something for the Lent and Easter period. We had seen Ian Campbell's painting in situ at St. George's Church, Tron in Glasgow, and thought that the picture was really pertinent, both to this time of year and the ongoing work here with the homeless at St. Peter's. In the image, Ian Campbell shows 13 men from Glasgow City Mission eating together, echoing the famous historic art theme of the Last Supper. The piece feels poignant on several levels. The fact that all the men are homeless, that it is not clear which figure represents Christ, and in the context of our recent experiences in the pandemic, that they are all sharing a table, all resonate deeply. Idie Campbell explains that the anonymity of the Jesus figure is intentional, reflecting the idea of the humanity of Christ as well as the concept of Christ the stranger. In some Christian traditions, it was normal to lay an extra place at the meal table, in case Christ in the form of a stranger knocked at the door and needed food. This reference is a biblical idea. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus talks about how when we care for the most vulnerable, we are caring for him. And another verse says that when we welcome strangers, we are entertaining angels unawares. There is also something here about a culture of welcoming, which we all could do well to learn from in our current, often individualistic worldview. Post-COVID, the idea of eating together also resonates on a profound level, as we have all been keeping separate to stay safe. This has meant an increase in isolation for many, and especially for those who live alone, and therefore have been eating alone. Campbell's painting also references the story of the Last Supper, when Jesus shares food with his closest companions, just prior to the crucifixion, and so is appropriate to this time in the church calendar when Christians everywhere remember the story of Christ's Passion. Jesus uses the meal as a way to forewarn his friends of events to come, but also to establish a ritual, which is celebrated this very day in the form of communion. Campbell's picture is executed in the Glasgow School of Painting, with muted tones and a mixture of close detail with deliberately undefined areas. The style suits the subject matter well, as both the story it refers to and the context of homelessness are sombre subjects. As one of the Glasgow guests said, "I suppose, for any of us here being fed by the mission, this might be our Last Supper." Once we had chosen this picture as our focus, we invited artist Shirley Hudson to make drawings of some of our guests here at the Breakfast Club. We felt it important to make the connection between Campbell's powerful image and the reality behind it, which is present here in Harrogate and increasingly across our country. At St. Peter's, a hot breakfast and evening meal are offered to homeless and vulnerable people in our area every day of the week. We knew that Shirley had both the skill and the personality to respond sensitively to the people she would meet, and she has not disappointed with these beautiful and soulful drawings.
Hello, I'm Shirley Hudson and I'm an artist. I'm a painter and a portrait artist. I paint landscapes and I do portraits. For St. Peter's Church, I've been working at the Breakfast Club, drawing portraits of people. My paintings are going to go in the exhibition either side of the Last Supper. I found it really interesting that on the actual Last Supper painting, where everybody is together, all sat opposite and sat close to each other, there's kind of a huge comparison with my actual work at the Breakfast Club where people have been socially distanced because of COVID, and it's rather a large space, and it's been noticeable, the spaces between us. It's been quite lonely and people are alone. I'm allowed to get reasonably close when I've drawn the person, often the other side of the table that they're eating some breakfast on, and I've had some toast and tea as well. So actually we're getting a little bit closer than they would be because I'm drawing, and that's quite a good excuse to get reasonably close to somebody, and they tend to tell me little bits about their lives and coming to the Breakfast Club. It's going to be a collection of drawings of people that run the church and people that run the Breakfast Club, and people that visit to get something to eat. For me, I just love different people and the faces and all about them, and the more I know about them, I think the better the portrait becomes, because I feel, in a way, I feel kind of love between us and as fellow human beings.